Good morning. Welcome to Unity Longmont Spiritual Center on the 22nd of May, 2022. This morning, we are blessed to have Bobbie Wilson to provide us with an inspiring talk and a meditation, and Faith Halverson Ramos to provide us with her beautiful music. And we'll start with Faith, please.
The first song today is I Walk Away by Eddie Watkins Jr. Every morning the light keeps getting brighter as I wake up to the truth. Every day I'm feeling so much lighter and the world seems fresh and new. What I was taught and the way that I thought stopped serving me long ago. Now I'm learning to trust in the God in all of us. Each day I start anew, and so I'm walking away from the thinking that held me for so long. Today is the day I walk away. I'm walking away from the path that led me to confusion. Today is the day I walk away. I'm walking away from the thinking that held me for so long. Today is the day I walk away. I'm walking away from the path that led me to such sadness. Today is the day I walk away. Every day I walk away. Every morning brings a new beginning. By grace another day to be. I awaken to the sun upon me shining, lighting the way for me to see things that I sought and the way that I thought stopped serving me long ago. Now I'm learning to trust in the God in all of us. Of yesterday I'm letting go. I'm walking away from the thinking that held me for so long. Today is the day I walk away. I'm walking away from the path that led me to confusion. Today is the day I walk away. I'm walking away from the lesson that held me for so long. Today is the day I walk away. I'm walking away from the path that led me to such sadness. Today is the day I walk away. Every day I walk away. Today is the day I walk away.
Thank you so much, Faith. It's at this time that we go into prayer by taking a breath together. Beloved presence, present everywhere, we're reminded of the power of choice, that each and every moment we can choose what we believe and how we act. We can notice when old beliefs, old habits, old skills arise. And we can express gratitude because they once served us. And we move into the new, the more pure and holy state of divinity. Again and again. This is the way that we evolve and transform. We're so grateful for that opportunity and support each other in that journey. And so it is. We'll hear music from Faith.
This song is I'm Here to Remind You by David Alt with a modified final verse by me. I'm here to remind you of your magnificence, to help you awake to all the wonder that you are. I long to show you all the joy you're worthy of. I'm here to remind you how much you're truly loved. You're here to remind me of my magnificence, to help me awake to all the wonder that I am. You long to show me all the joy I'm worthy of. You're here to remind me how much I'm truly loved. We're here to remind us of our magnificence, to help us awake to all the wonder that we are. We long to feel the joy we know we're worthy of. We're here to remind ourselves how much we can truly love. We're here to remind ourselves how much we can truly love.
Thank you for that magnificence, Faith. Let us open our hearts and our minds to and with Bobbie.
Thank you. I had to unmute myself there. Oh, today, what an interesting time I had with Holy Spirit trying to figure out what the talk was going to be, because I knew we'd been circling around the 12 powers. Last week, Jan talked about power, which is one of the 12 powers. And so I was open to that, but I kept getting this message, zeal. Talk about zeal. And I'm like, no, I don't want to do zeal. That's no. And so finally it came to me in great big block letters with bistro lights all around them. Talk about zeal. Okay. All righty. So for me, the reason I think I shy away from the idea of zeal is because it seems like it takes so much effort. I'm too old to be zealous and energetic and, waving my arms and running around and doing all that stuff. I'm tired. And so thinking of zeal as it's normally identified, and Webster's identifies it as great energy or enthusiasm in pursuit of a cause or an objective. I'm like, yeah, been there, done that. But right now it's like, I don't have great energy. I typically like to take a nap sometimes, you know, it's like, okay, maybe I should look into this power we have of zeal. Maybe I should see what the person who identified the 12 powers, and that's Charles Fillmore, Unity's founder, one of Unity's founders, has to say about it. And so he wrote a book about the 12 powers. And in it, he says, and I quote, "Zeal is the mighty force that incites the winds, the tides, the storms. It urges the planet on its course and spurs the ant to great exertion," the little tiny ant. "To be without zeal," he says, "is to be without the zest of living." So I thought maybe I'd take a look further at what he said, because, you know, I used to be real zealous about life. You know, I had a lot of energy and I was young and it felt like, you know, running a race or full of effort and concentration. And I used to love the chase and the run and the exuberance of exerting myself to achieve goals and awards and accolades. It felt good, and I was proud of my accomplishments in the world. And like the Webster definition of zeal, I exerted great energy in pursuit of my objectives. There's nothing wrong with that. I want to make sure you know, there's nothing wrong with that. But it just doesn't seem so important to me anymore to rack up awards like, you know, badges on my Girl Scout sash or add achievements to my resume. At this point in my life, Webster's zeal, as we commonly understand it, seems tiring. So much effort. I'd rather just be calm and peaceful. My days and movements have become slower. I don't feel an internal push to go, to get, move, and acquire. What I do feel is more open and available to what's in front of me. Is there zeal in that, I wonder? So I started to look into why I seem to resist that zeal. Perhaps my understanding of what it is to be zealous is flawed. So I decided to read what Charles Fillmore said. And these are the points that I picked out about zeal that really rounded out and opened up my mind to this power that we already have. It's in all of us. It's in every single human. So the first point he points out is zeal is a mighty force of nature. You and I are part of nature, and so we are influenced and moved by these forces, whether we're conscious of it or not. Every star traveling in the cosmos, every movement of the smallest ant is a result of the inciting force of zeal. Zeal is literally the, quote, impulse to go forward, the urge behind all things, as Charles Fillmore says. It is the life force. There is no movement without zeal, without that energy, without that life force. Zeal is the impulse to go forward, the urge to go behind all things, the urge behind all movement and all things. So it's a mighty force of nature. The second point is, nothing happens without zeal. If we have a desire, unless we act on it or have zeal for it, it remains unmanifested. And Charles says this about that. If you, quote, if you desire a thing You set in motion the machinery of the universe to gain possession of it. But you must be zealous in the pursuit in order to attain the object of your desire. So without zeal, the desire just sits there unfulfilled. So nothing happens without zeal. The third aspect of zeal, and remember, this is a universal energy that we all have, and it can be used for any purpose. Charles Fillmore says, divine enthusiasm is no respecter of persons or things. It makes no distinctions. It moves to new forms of expression, even that which appears to corrupt, he says. It tints the cheek of the innocent babe, gleams from the eye of the treacherous savage, and lights in purity the face of the saint. Quote. So Fillmore is saying that zeal is in everyone, everywhere, and it can be used for any purpose, which makes it quite powerful. In other words, as a universal principle, zeal is the power behind every creation or manifestation. Wow, that's a lot. So if we all have zeal and it can be used for any purpose, the fourth aspect is that it can be used unwisely. And Charles Fillmore says, quote, man cannot corrupt the inherent purity of any of God's attributes, but he can unwisely combine them in states of consciousness that bring dissatisfaction and incompleteness to him, end quote. So we can be zealous about a whole bunch of really unwise things. We can work ourselves into sickness and burnout. We can choose a path that is unhealthy. We can go after things that are not good for us or others. You name it. We can all think of ways we can be zealous about things that are not wise. So zeal can be used unwisely. So that leads us to the fifth aspect of zeal. We have an obligation to harmonize our zeal with the divine purpose of our lives. I'm going to say that again. We have an obligation, a spiritual obligation, to harmonize our zeal with the divine purpose of our lives. Charles Fillmore says, quote, as zeal alone, it is without intelligence or discretion as to results. As Jesus taught his disciples and combined their various talents, so every man must grow in wisdom and zeal. You are not to repress, but to guide the spirit of enthusiasm, which in cooperation with wisdom will bring you happiness and satisfaction, unquote. So he's making this very strong point that we use our zeal and cultivate wisdom in the use of it. And that wisdom comes from spirit, comes from higher self. We're not to repress, but to guide the spirit of enthusiasm, which in cooperation with wisdom will bring you happiness and satisfaction. And how many times have we gone out, just forged ahead, blundered forth without stopping and thinking, is this the wise thing to do? Is this the thing that I'm guided to do? I know I have, lots of times. The sixth aspect of zeal is that it propels us forward into spiritual growth, into higher states of consciousness. Quote from Charles Fillmore, zeal is the affirmative impulse of existence. Its command is, go forward, Through this impulse, man forms many states of consciousness that he ultimately tires of. They may have served a good purpose in their day in the grand scheme of creation, but as man catches sight of higher things, zeal urges him forward to their attainment, unquote. So think about that. Remember back in the past when you were real zealous to, I don't know, go to school maybe, or real zealous to get some new thing in your life, a new car or a new place to live or move out and travel or whatever. All of those zealousness propel us forward into spiritual growth. And what I found in my own life is that all of those levels of consciousness that I was moving to and through were steps. They were necessary. But at some point, they became unnecessary. And in order to move forward, I had to let them go. So it's really zeal propelling us forward through our attachments into letting them go as they no longer serve us. And letting us then make room for those next levels of consciousness as they come in and through us. So zeal propels us forward into spiritual growth, into higher states of consciousness. And as we discussed before, I'm going to say more about the seventh aspect, that zeal must be tempered with wisdom. We can't run amok with our own agenda. We have to let God lead and use us. And Charles says this: let your zeal be tempered with wisdom. The zeal of thy house hath eaten me up, from the Bible, means that the zeal faculty has become so active intellectually that it has consumed the vitality and left nothing for spiritual growth. Okay, let's unpack that one a little bit. We can get so lost in our minds and so zealous with our ideas and our analytical abilities that we lose the connection to the heart. We lose the connection to the rest of our body that helps feed us and inform us about what's going on inside of us. And so letting zeal just run amok with our intellect and our analysis isn't wrong, but it's not useful because it shuts out all of those other senses and perceptions and things that come in to inform us of where we are in the world and within ourselves. And that's the wisdom. That's where zeal must be tempered with wisdom, because otherwise we'll get stuck in our heads. And that's not always a fun place to be. The eighth aspect of zeal, and again, we touched on this earlier, but it must be used in conjunction with judgment, or as we like to say, with discernment. Not the judgment where we judge other people, but with the discernment of what we see and how we can recognize that with judgment. We need to be zealous about our own spiritual growth. Charles Fillmore says, man is a dynamo of pent-up power, but he needs judgment in its use. Many enthusiastic spiritual workers have let their zeal to demonstrate truth to others rob them of the power to demonstrate truth for themselves. Do not let your zeal run away with your judgment. Take time to be holy. Turn a portion of your zeal to do God's will, to the establishing of his kingdom within you. End quote. So the judgment that we need as we grow in spirituality is to be able to tell when we're trying to convince others or judge others or enthuse others around spiritual things and neglect what's happening in our own inner work. We need to let zeal demonstrate to us our inner truth. In other words, what am I feeling right now? what's happening? What am I thinking right now? Doing that inner work that enables us to then bring that truth through us and out to others. We need to put that oxygen mask on ourselves first before we help others get theirs. So that's the kind of judgment we're talking about that must be used in conjunction with zeal. It's that inner outer kind of place, because we can get so filled with zeal, we can be a runaway train and go off the track. So judgment. The next aspect of zeal I want to touch on is zeal is a power that can be used by our human will, as well as our divine will. Now remember, we are human beings and we are spirit. We're both. We are here as a duality in a unity. And that's hard to get the mind around, but that's the truth. We can be looking at things as individual humans, or we can be imbued and embodied and enthused by the will of God to look at the divine will, which can often is different than our human will. Charles Fillmore says, quote, "To grow spiritually, we should always be careful to exercise our zeal in spiritual ways, since Christians are apt to fall into commercial ways in carrying forward the Lord's work. We should remember that Jesus said, quote, 'God is spirit, and they that worship him must worship in spirit and truth,' end quote." And that's Charles Fillmore's take on the power that we need to surrender to our divine will and not grasp onto as a human. And in fact, when we try and catch zeal or confine zeal into our little human will, we use up our energy. We use it up and we eventually are deflated. The next aspect of zeal, it can be applied to a chosen field in life, to life's purpose, and as it is, it accumulates into genius. We are all potential geniuses in something. I mean, really, think about that. Charles says this, quote, "Genius is the breaking forth of the accumulated achievements of a man or woman in that field of activity for which he has been very zealous in many incarnations." And he quotes Jesus, Mozart, Shakespeare, and I added Buddha, Krishna, Martin Luther King, Gandhi, the unnamed ones who care for the elderly and sick, the compassionate ones who extend unconditional love. We can be geniuses in that. And we can apply our zeal to that genius over and over again. What are we good at? What seems to be the purpose of us being here in this moment right now? The zeal that we carry within inside us allows the genius that we develop in that area to spread forth and help others. So zeal accumulates into genius. I think that's fabulous. The next aspect I want to talk about, and the final one, is that the same amount of zeal has been given to all. We are all an expression of the abundance and brilliance of the universe. We all come from stardust. We all are created with the energy of zeal. Zeal is an ever-present energy that we may call upon. It forever moves us and energizes us, no matter our age and physical state. So there it is. Zeal is not necessarily the domain of the young and fit, the ones that have all that energy. It is, however, the nature of human existence, no matter what form that existence is. Whether we're old, we're young, we're smart, not so smart, we're capable, not so capable. We all have that zeal. We can all turn that into our particular brand of genius. So I decided then to take all that, which I found was very useful, and look at how I am zealous lately. And here are some ways that I think I am zealous. I pay attention to my thoughts and actions for the most part. I try to cultivate the connection to my heart and the hearts of others. I give time and abundance as I am able to help myself and others to realize their spiritual power. I allow things to be as they are, mostly, sometimes. I give myself compassion so I can give it to others, sometimes. I forgive myself and others for perceived wrongs. I pray. I meditate. All of these actions are impelled by zeal, inward first for myself, and then outward to others. I don't maintain 100% commitment to these expressions of zealousness, but as I open to this moment, the power of zeal moves me toward the spiritual. I can choose to go there, or I can resist. When I choose to go there, it is not an effort, because I am impelled to go there, to follow the zealous momentum toward the action. When I resist, that seems to take a whole lot more effort, because I'm constantly pushing against that impulse. And I only think it doesn't take more effort to resist. It does. So, the power of zeal is always there with us, no matter how weak or tired we might feel. To resist it is to die a little bit into apathy. To allow the power of zeal is to feel rejuvenated and full of spirit. It is to put the spiritual in play first, and then the action. We fill up with the awareness of our spirit and receive the impulse to go forward, and then the guidance of how to put our zeal into action. Now, if we reverse that order, if we take action without guidance, then we are like balloons, all filled with air that all of a sudden are untied, and all the air fizzles out, and the deflated balloon falls in a heap of fatigue. I've been there. Maybe you have too. But the spirit-filled body is where the power of zeal is most evident and helpful to all humanity, and the most effortless, flowing, and rising. It is the helium in our balloon, filling with that spirit. Let me give you an example. So this morning I took a walk, and I looked west toward the mountains, and Long's Peak looked just majestic. It had this robe of velvety white snow. And I felt an impulse to take a picture. Now, before I headed out for my walk, I had a hit to grab my phone and put it in my pocket, which I did. So now it was with me, and I took it out and focused on the mountain, but the trees were in the way. So I walked further, paused, focused, and still there were trees in front of the mountain scene. So I walked further until there was a clearing, and then I took some photos and a video of this beautiful and unique mountain, and it felt like a gift to me. And I did not realize at the time that this whole sequence of events was a perfect expression of zeal. I had checked in with my higher self before the walk, and I felt the impulse to take a walk, even though it was cold out. And then the impulse to grab my phone. And then the impulse to keep walking until I captured the perfect scene. The desire to follow the spiritual urge to action was at play throughout the whole walk. It was not a highly energetic, fast-moving charge that I might have expected when filled with zeal. No, its form was quiet solitary and peaceful, and it was still zeal. I could feel that. I could feel that movement. And finally, I cannot contemplate the wonder of life and the powers we have been given without being filled with gratitude for this human and divine experience. We have the 12 powers built into our humanity. We don't have to go find them or work hard to achieve them. They are already a part of each human. And when they are guided by our spiritual wisdom and judgment or our discernment, they propel us toward higher consciousness. So now let's just close our eyes for a moment and take a quick moment of meditation to center in, to let your awareness center down into your heart, into that area. And I want you to feel, if you can, the presence of the powers that you bring into this world through your humanity. All of those powers already there within you, not outside of you. And they're ready right there on the shelf for you to pull them out as they're needed. And as you become aware of how powerful you are and how your heart expands with this power to the point where it so overflows with that which you have been given spiritually that there's no way you can contain it. And it has to go out, and it has to flow, and it has to impact everything and all that's around you and everyone and everybody in your life. And so it is.
Thank you, Bobbie. And we will hear from Faith, informed by zeal, I'm sure.
This song is Allowing by Susie Hulcher. It's all about allowing peace within, in absolute surrender, so serenity begins. For when the storm subsided and calm becomes the way, it's all about allowing it to stay. It's all about allowing love to flow. It's setting down your burden and just simply letting go. For as you cease the struggle and love pours through your heart, it's all about allowing it to start. It's all about allowing it to start.
Thank you, Faith. At this time, we go into our donation of love and light, also attributes of God that reside within. We're taking a breath, becoming increasingly aware of that love and light, and simply allowing it to expand, to do what it does naturally, to be shared with anyone who can benefit, to be shared with anyone who can allow it. And we notice as this love and light expand, we may be filled with joy, appreciation. And so it is. And we will finish with a piece of music from Faith.
The last song today is Be Still and Know by Penelope Williams. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know. Be still and know that you are God. Be still and know that you are. Be still and know that you are God. Be still and know. Be still and know that you are God. Be still and know that you are. Be still and know that you are God. Be still and know. Be still and know that we are God. Be still and know that we are. Be still and know that we are God. Be still and know. Be still and know that ye are God. Be still and know that we are. Be still and know that we are God. Be still and know. Be still and know.